Hi everyone. So you faced with a door latch that isn't opening properly. So as you can see here, with this door, when we turn the latch, it doesn't fully retract. And what that means is we're struggling to open the door. So the fix is actually quite easy, which is to take the handle off, take the lock out, open the lock, reverse the section that the door handle goes in, and then put it back together, and it should work. So let's have a go. So first we're going to just take the screws out of the door handle. Coming to the last one now. That's the screw out, so we just remove this, remove the center pin, and now we're going to take out these two screws. This happens to be a 3-lever deadlock, but this should work for any kind of deadlock latch. Right, so now the lock should just pull out, and as we can see, there's a side with a screw and a side without, and it's the side with a screw we need to focus on, and it can only go back one way, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. Right, so here we are. So the first thing is to open the lock. So we're going to do this by loosening the screw. Now be careful here, there's a chance that the whole thing, keep the screw safe, can spring out on you. So if you can see where the casing joins in that little gap there, that's where we're going to put our fingers in and gently lift it up. Right, so see the spring's moved slightly, but that's not the issue. The issue is with this. This is a wing construction and it wears on the top. So I'm going to show you how to take this out, turn it round and then put it back, and that should solve our problem. So the first thing is to take out the spring, which should just, but be careful because you don't want it flinging across the room. So it just pulls out like this, remember how it goes. Then is to take out this lock mechanism. So this should just lift out. Again, remember how that goes. And finally is to take this wing nut type device out. So this should just rotate like this and it comes out. So let's have a look at what we've actually got here. As you can see, on the one hand it's actually very straight, on the other it's now curved, and that's because it's worn. So what we're going to do is just simply rotate it till we get the straight edge going into the top, fit it back in and go from there. And it's relatively straightforward to do. If you put the whole application in like this, I can just show you. If you just pop it in like that, and then it should just rotate in. So there we have it. So now to reassemble, we just do everything we did but in reverse. So to begin with, let's pop this back into the casing and seat the turning knob, and also then replace the spring. Remember, the spring goes between the notched on the lock mechanism and this back plate here. There we go. And actually, while you're here, just take the opportunity to give it a little bit of lubrication. Right, I've got some 3-in-1 lubrication oil here. So we just look at the moving parts where we're going to see some friction. We just want to add it onto there. We don't actually use this lock portion, but let's just give it a bit of lubrication as well. Right, that's done, we can now put the whole thing back together again. Just be careful as you replace this top latch to line up the locking mechanism. Right, now that's closed firmly, pop the screw back in, tighten it clockwise, and we should be good to go. Okay, so we're back at the lock housing, pop it in there. Now let's give it a try. Let's pop back in the pin and see. Much better. So if you can now see, the lock mechanism fully retracts, so we shouldn't have a sticking situation again. So I'm going to put this back together and we'll have a go. Alright, remember not to fully tighten the top screw until you've fixed the bottom one. There we go. Nip. And now, look at that. Latch is fully retracting. That should be as good as to last you basically as long as the original latch has lasted. So let's put the handle back on and have a go. So not surprisingly, all the handles and doors are roughly the same age in this house, and so they're having similar problems. So like this one we've just seen, struggling to open, and if you look at the latch, again, it's not fully retracting, and that's enough to stop it from opening. So let's do the same thing. We're going to take out these 2 screws. We're going to take off these 4 screws, take off the handle, take out the long rectangular pin, take this lock out, find the 1 screw on the lock, undo the screw, take the lid off, and then take out the latch mechanism, reverse the round circular wing nut thingy that this latch is pushing in on, and hopefully we should be able to give it a new lease of life. So let's begin. So step 1, let's undo the latch. 1 screw, 2 screw, and these doors have lasted, or actually the latches have lasted, but it's interesting, it'll be the rooms that have the highest usage where the door latch is opening and closing, and I guess they've only got so many turns in them. The metal seems relatively soft, so whether that's just because of cost or because it's some sort of die-formed aluminium, I guess it's just because of the easy way to manufacture a shape like that, it's starting to wear. So let's take out these 4 screws, put them somewhere safe, you're going to need them. The handle should just come off, and then the pin should just come out. So put all this somewhere safe. Right, so next step, take out the lock itself. So here again, just these 2 screws, just 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. So just take your time here, remember the order that you're doing things in and where the different elements go. As you've seen, it doesn't really require many tools, just 2 screwdrivers, a Phillips or poly drive, which these screws look to be, and a flathead, which is what's on the decorative handles. So here we go. It's looking a bit worse for wear from the dirt that's collected around the keyhole and around the handle hole. It's probably some sort of graphite or carbon lubricant that was used possibly. I'll replace that with some 3-in-1 oil. So let's take this apart and see if it's the same issue. Right, this one's got something slightly different going on. It seems like this rivet has come away from the lock body. That shouldn't really make a difference as the actual body itself is screwed into the door frame. So let's have a look for the moment of truth. So we're opening up the posi screw. It's a machine screw, keep it safe. Here's the cracked edge which joins the two pieces together, and just gently, oh, that didn't sound good. Just heard some springs spring out there, so we just gently take it off. And we see here that the 3-lever locking mechanism has just come slightly undone, but that's okay, no need to panic. We just slot it back in there. There. Good as new. So again, see the spring is kind of relocated itself. Ooh, this is slightly different. It's attached to a pin. That seems to have come off. So slightly different, but the same. So let's take the same approach and see what results we get. So we take this out, as we've seen there before. Remember the orientation. This one is facing that way. Rotate the pin to take it out. I'm just going to use I can take it out with one hand. There we go. And again, if you can see that rather oval shape forming when it should actually be very flat. So we just turn it round, put the flat piece in, and again, similar mechanism to where we took it out, put it in, and then rotate. Right, that's now done. So let's pop this back in. There we go. Let's take the opportunity to give it a little lubrication. The moving parts, maybe the lock plates themselves as well. I must admit, it's not a lock we actually use. And then here, this is the rotating bit. So there we go. That's nicely lubricated. Now, looks like this plate this is actually part of the original manufacturer. Seems strange, but we can see the indentation for where the spring has settled over the years, so we shall replace it in the same way. So I shall pop the spring in, one end into the nipple formation, and the other end I shall put against this plate. So just give me a second, I'm going to need both hands. Right, so that's now in. Okay, and I guess it's the mechanical force from the lid on top of it just holding it down. So let's see. So again, same as last time, you have to jiggle this around to make it fit into the various, there we go, machine slots. Not quite, just bear with me. Okay, so now this is back together. I did have to put this in a vise just to squeeze this back into its hole, but it does seem to fit now. So let's put it back into the door and see how we go. So now it's just the reverse of what we did before. So let's pop the lock into the door. Yep, fits into there. Then we'll grab the pin. Don't forget to put this pin in, otherwise you're going to find yourself closing the door and being unable to open it. That's it. Align the door handle with the pin so it fits in nicely. So we've got that. Let's fit in the other door handle again. Just align the two and fit it in, and then let's just pop some screws in. Right, that's the screws going into the locking plate. Just tighten that, there we go. And just make sure that's flush, nothing sticking out. Great, and now the door handle. Right, so to put the final screws into the handle, and then let's see if this fix has actually negated the need to buy a new door lock and handle mechanisms. So we put these screws in, generally, I guess, similar to torquing a wheel or a head gasket. We try to do these screws on the opposite sides first, and then it doesn't really matter if you're going a clockwise or anti-clockwise fashion, as there's only 4 screws. But we pop this in, and then tighten the final screw. Now these screws are actually brass, I think, so they're very soft, So just be careful with them because they'll easily deform, and again go slowly because it's easy for the flathead screwdriver to actually skip or slip from the actual screw and scratch the metalwork, and that will be unsightly. So now for the moment of truth. Here we go. Door is closed, door is open. Hey presto, like magic. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you like these kind of content, and I'll post something else soon.